Okay, this video is going to hopefully show you how to create a basic option screen. If you need to do anything more complicated, then obviously you'll need to make modifications and adapt. Now we're going to build some menus, and I'm going to use text menus to build these because it's quicker. If you want to make sprite menus, then you'll have to build your sprites for the menus, but the structure should be roughly the same. Okay, now I've opened up from my template four files: assets, option data, general logic, and options. Now the first one we're going to edit, and there's going to be some changes we're going to make because I'm doing this in a way that makes it as easy as possible for you to put together. We're going to make some changes. So in option data, if you open that file, you'll see that it's got some settings, and what option data is that's what we save out to a file. And it's got a couple of subroutines. We don't need these subroutines, so delete the read menu and set menu subroutines. Make sure you leave two braces at the end. Okay, and in the option data, the options themselves, make them all ints. Okay, what we're going to do to make it simple, default them all to 0. So difficulty is not going to be that. It's going to be 0. What we're going to do is we're going to record the positions in the menus, which are integers. Okay, for each of the menus you've got. So we've got on this one, difficulty, volume, lives. In this video, I'm only going to build an options menu with lives and difficulty. Okay, so if you've got other things, then you need to add those in. So it's the same process for doing a volume one as it is for doing a lives and a difficulty. Okay, right, so that's that one edited. The other thing we need to do in assets, we need to find some storage for our menu. So from the top, if you scroll down and find the menu bit where MN title will be, well, let's create another bit of storage. Oh no, we can't do that yet, so I'm doing it all in the wrong order. Right, okay, we'll do that in a minute. Oh no, I'll do it now actually. So public, right, this isn't going to be a menu. We're going to call this option menu, and we're going to create that. Okay, so if we just do that, it'll go red squiggle because it doesn't exist. Okay, and we're going to create that in a second. So this is going to be a hybrid menu, or what we call, when we're object-oriented programming, this is going to inherit from menus. So it's going to have all the facilities of a menu, but it's going to be more advanced. Okay, right, so we do that bit. So with that red squiggle on, go up to project and say add class. Make sure it does say class. Okay, right, so we're going to call this option menu. So spell it identically to what we've just written there. Can I shut? Oh yeah, can I? Okay, so the spelling is identical, case sensitive, remember. So, and then click add. Okay, we need to make a couple of modifications to this. The first one, if we go into assets, scroll to the top, we need to copy all these library statements. So get the using engine 7 upwards, just copy them all, and into our new class, overwrite those ones with that. Okay, we then need to make this public, and then we need to say let's inherit from menu. So we say colon menu. Okay, so what that's going to do is that's going to allow us to just see all the things that a menu can do, but we're going to add our own stuff to it. Okay, right, so we're going to create a main menu, and we're going to have some sub menus. So we need to create space for a lives menu, which we're just going to say menu lives, and we need a difficulty menu, which I'm going to call difficulty. If you can see that, if I move my cursor out of the way. Okay. Right, we're also going to create a copy or a set of option data. So we've got this option data now, and inside the option menu we need access to that, so we're going to create one. So we're going to say public option data, and we'll call it settings equals new option data. Okay, we'll use that when we display the menus so that they're reflecting each other. Okay, so this is stuff that's going to be stored in a file. So we've got some more edits that we need to make in a minute. Okay, right, the next thing we need to add is the constructor. So we're going to say option menu. Oops, I pressed a funny key there. Option menu. Right, so what we're going to do with this is what we're going to create at the start. So we'll create this in assets. Okay, but when we create this, we need to tell the menu system a little bit about the menu, because it's going to be a text menu. I'm going to call it options, and I'm going to say menu type dot text. Okay, right, then what we do, so that creates a normal menu, and then we add all our extras to it. Okay, so I'm just going to create the basics of the option menu. Let me just get rid of that so you can see a little bit more. Right, so first off I'm going to add this to the menu manager. So GM menu manager, and I'm going to say add menu, and it is this menu. Okay, this refers to the thing that we're creating at the minute, the object. Right, so I'm going to add two items. I'm going to add a menu item for life and a menu item for difficulty. So I'm going to say add item, new menu item. I'm going to give it its name, and this name's significant. This isn't what's displayed, but this is what I will look out for when I'm deciding what menu options selected. Then I'm going to create a text store, and this is just information about text. So use the font that you've been using in your system. I'm going to use Gradius font, and on screen I am going to display lives available. Okay, and I'm going to set that at 30 from the left and 100 pixels down from the top, and I'm going to set the alignment to top left. Okay, make sure you've got 3 closing brackets at the end. Right, I'm going to build another menu, but I'm going to copy and paste to save me copying all that. So this is the next menu item, and this is going to be our difficulty. So I'm going to refer to that as diff internally, but I'm going to display on screen game difficulty, and that's going to be left aligned 30, but I want that a bit further down, 200. Okay, so I'm nearly finished building the menu. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my highlighting system. So I'm going to say on select text, because we're doing a text menu, I'm going to call it highlight, and when we reject text, so that's the normal text, I'm just going to call it normal. Okay, now I need to create these 2 items, so these are going to be subroutines. So private void, so I'm doing it outside of the option menu. So I've got highlight. Now this accepts a text store item, which allows me to manipulate the text that's displayed. We'll build it in a sec. Let's do the normal one. So private void normal text store is what it's going to accept. Let's call it TS, the 2 parameters. Okay, right, so what I'm going to do is when I highlight, I'm going to change the colour to red, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Alright, so we can see that it's definitely highlighted, and to do that we say ts.properties, and you'll see that I can change the colour, and I'm going to say colour.red. If you've got a specific colour in mind, remember you can create exact ones. I'm then going to change the scale. I'm going to say scale is 2 times. Okay, now when it's normally shown an unselected item in the menu, I'm gonna color it white, and I'm gonna make it 1.5 times. So I don't want it at normal size, I'm making it slightly bigger. Okay, I'm going to use these 2 routines to do the highlighting for all the menus. Alright, so that makes the main menu. Now we need to make the sub menus. So we've created space for these two. Okay, so let's create a couple of subroutines. So create, let's do the difficulty menu. That doesn't exist, but we'll create that in a minute. And we're going to create the lives menu. Okay, right, so I'm going to right click over those and say generate method stub. And generate method stub, and that's created the lives and the difficulty one. So let's delete the throw not implemented because we don't want those, and we'll create the difficulty menu. So let's do the lives one first. So we're going to say lives, because we've got that created up here. That's what I called it, lives. If you've called it a different name, then you'll need to change it. So we're going to say equals new, not new inbox, menu. Give it a name. Let's call it live sub menu, and the menu type again. Menu type is going to be text. Okay. Right, we need to make sure that the menu manager has got access to this. So we're going to say add menu lives. Okay, then we can add the items in. So for my lives thing, I'm going to have the lives 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I'm just going to say lives.add item, and it's going to be new menu item. So the structure's the same as what we've just done for the difficulty one. Right, I want the name for it. Now this is a significant name, so there you go. And we're then going to have the text store. Again, be consistent with your fonts. We don't want loads of silly fonts all over the shop. So I'm going to use Gradius again. Right, so on the display, I'm just going to have a 1 displayed. Right, now where am I going to sit this? Now I'm going to sit this across. Okay, and these are going to go horizontally across. So I'm going to start at 350, and the height, I want the height to be the same as where I said the lives menu was going to be, which is 100. And I'm going to align them top left in exactly the same as I did for the other ones. Again, make sure you've got 3 brackets at the end because we've opened 3 brackets. Right, so I want 5 of these, so I'm going to copy paste. Okay, they must have a unique name, so 2, 3, 4, 5, and the display of 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the number needs to move across. So I'm going to space them out every, let's go for 30, so that's going to be 410, 440, and 470. Okay, right, the only last couple of bits I've got to do is add the highlighter. So lives.on select text, we're going to do highlight, and lives.on reject text equals normal. Okay, so that's the lives menu created. Now I need to do the difficulty one, and I'm going to very carefully copy and paste and put the difficulty one. Now if I don't do this properly, I will be adding stuff to the lives menu, so I need to go through and change all the references to lives first to difficulty. So I'm going to difficulty, and I'm going to copy paste. So I'm copying that, and then I'm going to double click on lives, paste, double click, 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 paste. Right, I'm only going to have 3 difficulties, so I only need 3 items, so I'll just delete some. First item is going to be called easy. These are the internal names. I'm going to call that one normal, and I'm going to call the last one hard. And the displays is going to be, well, easy. I'm just going to use the same wording, normal and rock hard. Now, where do I want to sit them on the screen? Now, when I did the difficulty menu, if I scroll up, I sat it at 200. Okay, so let's change all these 100s to 200. You've got to be careful when you copy paste. Right, so easy is going to be at 350 now. This is a little bit wider than a single character, so I need to spread these out a bit more. So 450, 550. I might need to spread them out a little bit more than that, but we'll leave it at that for now. Okay, so that's the setup of the menus. Okay, right. The next thing I need to do, I want to be able to show and hide this menu, but because it's 3 menus, I'm going to have to create my own little subroutine to do this. Okay, and we need a name for this, so we're going to call it display. So down at the bottom, before the last 2 braces, I'm going to say public void display, and then I'm going to add instructions to show all the display data. Okay, so I'm going to say this dot show, which will show the main menu. I'm then going to say lives dot show, which will display the lives menu, and I'm going to say difficulty dot show, which will display the difficulty menu. Okay, what I also want to do, I'm going to put all the key code inside with this menu. Okay, so I'm going to do it in here. In order to do that, I need to create an event. Okay, so I'm going to add at the top an event. So I'm going to say event, make sure you do a capital E. I'm going to say EV update, that's what I'll call it, and just leave it at that. So scrolling back down to my display code. Remember, you can use the little picker and that will take you quickly to code that you created. Right, so we're going to create that, so we're going to say EV update equals new event, and we want it to run quite often, so we're going to ask it to run 100 times a second. Give it a little bit of output name. That's if we're debugging, remember. Doesn't really matter, call it whatever you want. And we'll get it to run a subroutine called update. Okay, which we'll create in a minute. Right, now we've created the event, we can add it to the event manager. So add event EV update. See how I'm using the picker, it really speeds things up. Okay, so let's create this code, the update code. So we're going to say private void update, and all this is going to do is it's going to check to see what keys are being pressed for the menu. Okay, so we can just say with our standard key checkin. So if we say gm dot input manager dot key pressed. Right, so I'm going to use up and down to go up and down the main menu. So I'm going to say keys dot up. If we press that, I'm going to say previous. Because this inherits from a menu, this object, I can say this dot previous if I want to, okay, but that just means refer to this object. So I don't have to include that, so I can just put previous. It makes my code look a bit cleaner. I can then check for the other key, the down key. Now you don't have to use these keys, you can use whatever keys you want. Okay, and that's going to run to the next menu. Now, the tricky bit is, how do we control selecting the number of lines and difficulty? Well, in order to do that, if I do the left and right keys, I need to know what menu I'm on. Okay, in the main menu. So I need to know whether I've highlighted lives or difficulty first. So if I do a check and I say if gm.inputManager.key pressed keys.right, if that's true, put a pair of braces in, because we're then going to say, okay, what is the selected name for the main menu? And we're going to say case, if it's, right, we need to go and have a look at what we called these two. We called one life and one diff. It's the first thing right after where we say menu item. That's what we're looking at. So scroll back down to update and say, right, if it's life, I'm going to write this all in one line. If it's life, I'm going to say lives.next. I want to move next in that menu. So put your semicolon and then put break. The other case was diff. So if it's diff, I'm going to say difficulty.next. and then put my break. Okay, so when I press the right key, look at what menu selected in the main one, and then based on that do that. Now I'm going to do exactly the same, so I'm going to copy and paste for the left key, but it's not going to be next, it's going to be previous. Okay, so that's done that. So that's going to allow us to navigate the menu. So let's just do a little test to see if this is going to work. So hopefully we've built everything we need to do. In assets, we created storage space for it, and in options. Now at the bottom of assets, there is a setup bit of code right down near the bottom. Here we are, setup. So we've got create menu, so let's go to there. In there you've got a title menu created. In this place, what we're going to just say, we're going to say mn options equals new options menu, and that's all we need to do, and that will create the options menu. What that is now available to display. So let's go to general logic, and if we scroll down to where the subroutine called loading logic, so remember, use the picker. Look, it's alphabetical this, so look for loading logic, pick it, and instead of doing prepare title, which I'm now going to comment out, I'm going to do prepare options. Okay, so we're going to run that temporarily so we can just test it quickly. Right, let's go to that. So right click and say go to definition. Just make all this code a bit bigger. Right, at the minute, prepare options runs start options, which doesn't do anything except for set the state, which is quite nice because that's what we want to do. Right, so what I'm going to do is in here I'm going to say clear all manage objects, and then I'm going to show the menu. So I'm going to say mn options display. If that's worked, that should show on screen and I should be able to control the menu. Okay, so if you need to go back, just pause the video, go back and have a look. So it loads up. There is my menu. I need to move things across. So you can see lives available is selected and it's navigating the correct menu. So I need to push some stuff across. So I'm just going to go back. It needs to go across quite a bit. Okay, so I just kill it. Go back to option data. No, option menu. Delete. Right, so I'm going to move. Let's go 450. 600, let's make that one 580, make this one 730. These need to move over across a bit. I'm just going to just put a 4, 4, 5, 5, 5. Obviously you're going to lay them out wherever you want. They don't have to be in straight lines. You can have diagonal if you want. Let's just run it again. Now change those, see if it spreads out a bit nicer. Oh, the numbers need to go over a bit difficultly. Right, so they need to be spread out a little bit more. Yeah, the numbers are alright, they just need to go across a bit. So I'll just do that bit. So the numbers need to go across. So let's put them over at 550. I'm just going to 6, 6, that should be a 6. These need to go over, so I'm going to go, well, I'm going to go 600, then I'm going to go 780, and then I'm going to go, dear, what, 900? I don't know. I'm going to play. I'm not going to play anymore once I've shown it working. Okay, and you can figure out exactly where to sit them. Loads up. So you can see I've got lives available selected, and as soon as I do left and right when I've moved to difficulty, it's moving them. Yeah, it looks awful, but I'm not bothered. It works. Okay. Right, so that's the menu working. Now we need to be able to come out of this menu. So what we need to do is we need to set up some code that when we finish with the menu, and we'll do this with a key press, we say okay, we've done. Alright, we've finished, get rid of the menu, get it off the screen, and indicate somehow that we've finished to any other code. In order to do this, what we need to do is create a value we can look at. Alright, now we're going to call this value finished. So we're going to, at the top of option menu, we're going to say public bool, because it's going to be a yes or no value, a true or false, and we're going to call it finished, and we're going to set it to false. So whenever we show the menu, we're going to say finished equals false. Alright, so let's now scroll down. So we've just created a boolean value to control this. So where we do display, first line is going to be finished equals false. Oops. Alright. Now we need to put some code for the key in here, so let's go in update, and I'm going to use left control to say I'll get out of that menu now. So input manager.keyPressed keys.left control. If I click that, I'm going to say complete. Okay, I'm going to create a subroutine. That's what I'm going to run. So I'm going to generate that. It doesn't exist. I want this to be public just in case I want another method of getting out of the option screen that is external to the options system that we just built. Okay, so we can control the option menu, say I'll get rid. Now, so what this needs to do is the opposite of all the display code. So in the display code, we set finished to false, so we want to do true. We showed the three menus, so we need to hide them all, and we create an event, so we need to get rid of the event. Okay, so we're going to say finished equals true. We're then going to say to the event manager, remove EV update. That's nice. We're then going to say this.hide. We never kill these things. We're going to say lives.hide. And we're going to say difficulty.hide. Okay. And we're nearly done. Right, in order to make use of this, we need to look at a few things. So if we go to options, we set the game state to options. Okay, and then we show the display, and then the display is active and it's checking for its own keys. If we go to general logic and we scroll down to the game loop, so again you can use that combo box there to find game loop quickly. Let's put a case in there for options, so state.options, put a break in. Right, and what we're going to do is we're just going to sit here and we're going to say mnoptions.finished. So we say if mnoptions.finished, what we need to do is at a minimum we need to go to the title screen. I think that's what we should do. So we're going to say prepare title. Okay, so let's just run this and it should work. So let's have a quick recap. So we added an extra key to say run this complete subroutine when we finish with the menu, and we said oh finish equals true, remove the event, hide the menus. That value of finish that we added, the boolean, is now going to be able to be picked up in the game loop, and we say like it's sat there waiting, and it says oh as soon as that's true run the title screen. So let's run it. So we should go to the title screen when we press left control. So I'm going to look at the menu, which is hideous, although the font's very nice, and I'm going to press left control, and there you go, it goes back to the title screen. Okay, so that bit's working. There's only one bit we haven't got, and that is making sure that the options get saved when the game quits. Now in general logic, down at the bottom we've got this shutdown. Now this is run when we quit the program, whether we kill it with the X or whether we come out of it properly with exit. Okay, and at the minute it was set to save my options. Now we're not going to do that now because I've made this simpler. So in there we're going to say mn options dot settings. So if you scroll down you'll see settings eventually. There it is. So we can say save the settings. Okay, right, so that's going to save it at the end. What we need to be able to do is load it when the game sets up. Now in load options, which you'll find in options.cs, and again if you want to find it use the little drop down, load options, we were asking for my options to be loaded. Now we don't want that, so we're going to replace that with mnoptions.settings again. So we're going to say, oh, load that file up and store it in settings that we've added to the option menu. Okay, that should be the only two things. Well, no, you've got this to do as well. These are the only things that need to be changed. Right, when that's loaded, it runs this subroutine, retrieve options, which tries to load the options up. Now at the minute it's saving it to my options, so we just need to change those three references to mnoptions.settings. So if I highlight all that, copy, then double click my options, paste, double click my options, paste. So make sure you haven't got any references to my options. Now there's an easy way of checking this, because we can delete this code at the top of options. Let me just undo that. That was the thing that created my options. I should delete that. If I now press F6 to build, it should say build succeeded. If it does that, then it's worked correctly and you've made all the changes. If it now says my options doesn't exist, then go to that line and let me just do that to show you what it'll look like. So if let's say I forgot this one and it said my options, okay, I delete this, so oh yeah, finished, I've done all my corrections, delete, F6, I'll get an error. Double click the error, it'll say, oh look, you got that line. Aha, I need that to be mnoptions.settings. Okay, right, we're almost done. So back to the option menu. So the only two things we've got left to do is, when we show the menu, what we want to do is we want to show the settings that have been loaded from the file. Okay. Now we're going to call this a subroutine set menu data. And what we'll do is when we quit the options, we will record this data so that it gets saved in the file. So it's like a two-way process. So we set up the menu to reflect the file. So let's just generate that. And I'll show you how to do that. Deadly easy, now we've changed it. All we've got to do is say set in mn, oh gold. If I say lives dot select item and then just say settings dot lives, make sure you pick the right one. Put a semicolon, it'd help. And difficulty dot select item settings dot difficulty. Okay, so that will move the menu around based on the value that was loaded from the file. We're going to do the opposite when we are finished with the menu. So when we've done run the complete subroutine, so at the bottom go to complete and then just copy the menu settings back to the settings. So settings.lives, so I'm just doing the opposite now, equals lives.selected, and that's it. And that gives us the number of the menu. So if it was the fifth life, that would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth thing. So that's the number that's getting recorded. Same with the difficulty. So the settings.difficulty is the difficulty menu selected thing again. Alright, so if it was easy, that would be the first menu item from difficulty, which would refer to the number 0. Okay, and that should be everything. So if I just run this, so I'm going to set it to 5 and rock hard, and then I'm going to press Control and come out, and I'm going to quit the system. Hopefully when I run it again with F5, it should have those remembered. Fingers crossed. There you go. So it's loaded in the file. Now as evidence, you're going to do this. You're going to go to computer, you're going to go to documents, you're going to find save games, you're going to find your template, change me, all players, and if you load this, do right click, open with notepad, what you'll see, get that out of the way, and what I'll get you to do is, this will be a really good screenshot where you can explain how that relates to this. And you can see that the Volume is 0, even though I haven't used it, so there's no setting to it. Difficulty is 2. So easy is item 0. Okay. Normal is item 1, and rock hard is 2. So that's right. Lives available. Lives is 4. So 1 life is at position 0. 2 is at position 1. 3 is at position 2. 4 is at position 3. 5 is at position 4. So that's correct as well. Okay. And that's it. That's your options menu. I hope that's the easiest way to do it. There's other ways you can do it, but that's easy. If you get stuck doing anything with sprites and things, just ask me. But that's about it. Okay, signing off. If I can get Cam Studio to stop.